welcome to another edition of Facebook Live. Here we have Pranay Sharma and Bhavna Vej, and I'm Pragya. We're going to discuss the electoral verdict in Karnataka, which is just out, and it gives BJP a clear victory in Karnataka. So we're going to discuss the implications for 2019 of this. So we'll start with Pranay Sharma. Pranay, what do you think is the reason behind this, and why was the Congress expecting till the last minute that was it just posturing that they're going to win?
No, I don't think it was posturing. I think seriously they believed that they're going to win, and they were doing whatever tools they had, they were trying to use it to the hilt. So this verdict, actually, forget about the Congress. If we keep it aside for a while and look at other observers and commentators, what they were saying, I think this victory has come as a surprise to most, because a lot of people thought that the BJP is going to give a very good fight in that sense, but to have this kind of a clear thing, I don't know whether it's still all results are out. The trends are there, but what if we go by the trends, then it's clearly that they have an edge, and this goes far beyond the expectation of most people, I think. So it's not only the Congress, but also others.
What do you think this means for 2019?
For 2019, it means that Mr. Modi and Mr. Amit Shah are rejuvenated and they'll come back like all guns blazing. And sadly, it's not a very good sign for Rahul Gandhi in the Congress. I think, in fact, probably you can tell us about how it is for them and the possibility of leading an alliance for 2019.
I was actually speaking to a few people before we came here, and the sense that I was getting was that the parties, the non-BJP, non-NDA parties are again beginning to realize that you cannot fight an election on the starting from the date when the Election Commission announces elections are there. If the BJP is a very well-oiled election fighting machine, then you cannot stand apart and be different. You just have to jump into the game. But it does put it's bad for the Congress, but it's not necessarily so bad a verdict for all the other regional parties who would want to be the kings, so to speak, of their regions. So now they get some bargaining power.
Too many kings, actually. Because everyone from all the regions, they all want to be the king. That is the problem.
Yeah.
Even before we come to 2019 elections, I think later this year some crucial ones are coming up. Rajasthan, and then Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh. We'll have to see, what will be the impact on that. And these are the immediate ones which are coming up. I'm sure that all the players, they are going to look at these states now, and try and put their respective houses in order.
Yeah.
Because if this is the trend which goes on, then it's steamrolling, over the Congress mainly. Regional parties, again, because we'll later discuss a bit on the Panchayat election, what's happening, because that also shows the kind of desperation which a lot of these regional parties like TMC has in pushing the BJP, not allowing them to have or consolidate or have a proper toehold in their states, that we can discuss later. But I think, these two elections, what do you think?
No, in fact, you were talking about this well-oiled machinery, that BJP being this well-oiled machinery. But I have to say, this time even Congress tried their best to emulate what BJP has been doing. Like lots of Congress people have been pretty impressed with the things, and they have been vocal about it. That it is because of the way RSS functions, and because they go down to the grassroots, and this is that kind of a training, that organization and everything. This time Congress did try, but I think what Congress lacks and what BJP has is dedication.
The last mile, that last mile push which they lost in Gujarat, and it seems a lost team in Karnataka.
That the workers at the ground are really motivated and dedicated, and that comes from because many of them are RSS guys and also ideology driven.
Right. It is an ideological battle as well for the Congress. Now, on this Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, what I'm hearing is that there is no direct connection between an election in one state and the other. People are voting on local issues, as happened in Karnataka. But the BJP gets a boost, and the Congress gets another chance to rethink on how it deals with regional allies. Now, if they actually get into a winning streak, then the Congress gets into a winning streak, then the question will arise that where will the BJP get the seats from where will they win in order to score that 180 which everyone is saying they will get in 2019? Will it come from Northeast? Will it come from, is Karnataka doorway to the South? Will it come from the North? So I suppose that question remains open until these 3 other assembly elections are sorted.
And sorry, Karnataka has also shown one thing. He's talking about regional parties. Here in Karnataka, actually, you more or less you see that it has become a battle of the 2 national parties.
Right.
JDS as a regional party has kind of lost so much of its ground. So I don't know whether it
But
will.
in a way, that has been the trend, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, because if you look at, even Sitaramaiah was from there, broke away, and gradually it went on. More and more people have been, major parties have been poaching from JDS.
Yeah.
They have been getting, the leaders and the MLAs and breaking away. So no matter how much they tried, it would have been a very, very difficult, uphill task for the JDS to stop that trend, and win back. The other factor which I wanted to ask, both of you, what about anti-incumbency? Because we see in many states, even if you look at Tripura, there were sections, who spoke about that, anti-incumbency, because people have their aspirations, a lot of new voters are coming, and in a way they raise this question that, we don't want to have the same kind of excuses. Now we want jobs, we want opportunities, So irrespective of the fact whether the BJP will be able to give them or not, they want the current regime to go. Let's try out someone else.
Yes,
I think that is also a factor.
Yes, Karnataka did not decide to break with its trend. It decided to change the government, which it always has
Which it
done.
always does, yeah.
The vote share so far, what we've seen indicates that Sitaramaiah actually, as a chief minister, has built up his own vote bank, which cuts across regions,
Entire state, yeah.
cuts across communities, but somehow not enough to get the seats which are required.
They got 37.8, which is more than the BJP's.
That's been the trend
Yeah.
of Karnataka, and this is the irony which he has to perhaps deal with. The question is that in parts of Karnataka where the JDS has done well, what we have to see is how the BJP has done there, because there were murmurs of a sort of arrangement behind the scenes, which is not unusual, and if it seems that that arrangement has worked very well in the BJP's favor. There's been some sort of a vote shift.
Pragya, we go back to the debate which was there when the election thing started. Everybody was talking about Sitaramaiah as the leader who is giving back the BJP, or the only leader who has managed to push the BJP on the back foot.
Right.
Because Amit Shah made a few blunders there during his speech and all that, and those were being interpreted as that. So the micromanagement bit, in a way, most observers saw this as this is a man who, or for the first time perhaps, Amit Shah has got his match.
Yes. Yes.
But I think he met his match mostly in bluster and not really going down to the ground and grassroots and actually doing that. I think Congress still lacked that.
Okay. And that last minute push, the Congress will be accused, I'm sure, of having become overconfident. It was good to be confident, but then suddenly that talk about becoming Prime Minister and so on seemed to indicate that perhaps they dropped the ball somewhere.
Here you're raising a very interesting point. We've seen this in Gujarat and we again saw this in Karnataka.
Yes.
How much is the Modi factor really working? Because if we see, there was kind of a blitzkrieg, the way he went and campaigned in a number of places.
Right.
So how much has that been an issue to turn the tide?
Yes, we're going to try and analyze exactly what was the effect in the places he went to, but at the face of it, he has an effect.
No, he has. It definitely has that last minute push, and till the last minute there are those voters who are undecided, who still think who the fence sitters, whether to go here or there. There is a vote bank which all parties have, a dedicated vote bank,
right.
but there was a huge percentage
Right.
which hadn't really decided. So in that, the last mile push that she's talking about, that really helps when Modi goes there.
So Modi's appeal works, and the logic, argument, whatever, or his way of reaching out to people,
Yeah.
that is still working, which the Congress has not been able to manage.
Yeah.
To outsmart him, outstrip him in that, in
Yeah.
these departments.
Yeah. It's also very tough because for the opposition, they don't have that kind of machinery to support them. Not just the Sangh Parivar, but like the various tools of governance that you have, which help you put out a message. So,
If tool of governance that you're talking about, there were lots of income tax raids that happened.
that too, yes. But also, you know, the number of people who the RSS can energize, who the BJP can energize on the ground, is far greater than the Congress can manage.
And the lots of Congress people, especially from Karnataka, have been complaining about these income tax raids, and especially one of the main financiers, D.K. Shivkumar, he was raided like a few months before the elections. Income tax. So they are saying all these income tax raids are basically aimed at blocking their flow of money.
So, Bhavna, tell me something. I mean, is this also that the BJP is now looking more, in that sense, a national party? The reason I asked this is because people were saying that it was mainly concentrated in the Hindi belt.
North, yeah.
Now, you know, it's a major southern state where you're going. So, are we looking at the BJP now standing at the doorstep to move in more, you know, I mean, in that southern part?
But they definitely, and they're definitely looking at increasing their seats there, what you were talking about, that they have to make up for the seats, because in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh are already at the peak, they're at the saturation point. So they can probably only lose seats, UP also, I mean talking about Lok Sabha elections. So they have to find these newer pastures.
I'm not so sure about how the BJP will fare in, say, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Kerala.
It just gives them a fillip, that's all.
Yeah.
I mean their efforts, but yeah, that remains to be seen whether it's actually successful or not.
They are playing it safe in some states where they have one potential ally and another potential ally, you know, Jagan on one side, and on the other side they have TRS. I mean, they are being very smart about it, but it still needs to be seen if they can actually break into the South. The South has so far resisted the kind of politics that the BJP represents, the Hindustan logic, at least until the Karnataka victory. We were told that it will not work.
Right.
And in Karnataka they've had a government before. So some of the celebration would be, you know, justified, and some of it might not be. It will not perhaps directly impact Madhya Pradesh and Bihar and so on.
No, I'm trying to put it in the context. When, after the victory in Tripura, there was this argument that it is more hype than what it really means because of the in the Lok Sabha, you know, there are only two seats which it gives, you know. So one way or the other, despite the hype, it will not help them get those seats, which ultimately is the question.
But 25, I think, in Northeast altogether.
No,
so
true.
That's a big number.
But 14 is, if you take out Assam, majority comes from Assam.
Already there are some fissures arising there, yes.
Otherwise there are only 10.
Otherwise only 10.
Yeah.
You add up all of them, you know, 2, 1, this kind of a thing. It will come. But the victory in Karnataka, therefore, is that much more significant.
17, yes. It's almost like a saturation point.
And more than that, what I'm seeing, what it does to the other election which is going to come later this year. Then, because a lot of people had written off the BJP in Rajasthan. That BJP is going to lose now. Madhya Pradesh, they were still iffy, you know, about it. But it's not going to be an easy thing for Shivraj Chauhan.
Yes.
Now, you know, how will they look at it?
Now, the one bigger picture we can look at is that the Congress will still emerge among the non-NDA forces as the biggest party. What people are speculating, 100 seats, 120, 80, we don't know. But yes, they will get across India a large number of seats. And for them, for the Congress, for Rahul Gandhi, the challenge will be to get that large number of seats and be willing to take a back foot in making alliances with the regional satraps. So that is a compromise which they will have to work out internally. I think Gujarat taught them that lesson once, and Karnataka comes up with roughly the same lessons all over again. So, for instance, the BSP, there is talk that the BSP and the Congress could have a tie-up well in advance. It's not only up to the Congress, but why not in Madhya Pradesh is one question being asked. Why not in Chhattisgarh? So, where there is anti-incumbency, like I suppose Jharkhand is one such state, what will the Congress do over there? Will it try to go on its own like it did in Gujarat, perhaps not. But I think the Gujarat and Karnataka temptation was very big for the Congress because they were in Karnataka, they were in power, so it made sense for them to try and go it alone. In Gujarat, they could have allied with people who parties which don't have many seats, but they have a sort of cadre there, like the left with the tribal belt and so on. You know, Mr. Sharad Yadav's party had also eaten into their share, so they have to manage this. Without that and some compromise, it will be very difficult to.
But in a way, don't you think this is the logic also of the regional parties? Because
Yes.
each one of them, you know,
That is what
why should I
yeah.
go for a tie-up? I would rather try and see, you know, where I am strong in areas. I will try and get the maximum number of seats so that it gives me
Absolutely.
better bargaining power.
Absolutely, which is why the BSP would have entered into the fray in Karnataka in the first place.
That is, and you know, you were saying that Rahul Gandhi will have to take a back seat. It is not just Rahul Gandhi. There are so many other regional setups, like you said. Even they have to decide among themselves, like who is going to be the face.
Oh yes, that's right. If the post-Karnataka discussions, after the polling, if the discussions coming from the Congress camp are any indication, then they still don't have a strong center or a strong enough center we can issue a diktat to the
Absolutely.
regional satrap saying you will be chief minister, you will step down. They are still having that discussion on, okay, we'll have a Dalit as a chief minister, Mr. Siddaramaiah saying, okay, I will step down. All this shows a party which is still trying to pick up from the losses it faced in 2014.
You know, surprisingly, earlier, whenever Congress suffered some kind of a loss, people used to talk about, okay, get Priyanka.
Yes.
But this time, surprisingly, people are saying,
Rahul Gandhi.
no,
Then?
get Sonia Gandhi.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Get Sonia Gandhi to talk to the allies, potential allies, because they think that Rahul Gandhi does
Still
not have the
doesn't have that
gravitas
heft.
and everything.
Yeah.
That he can't do it. So in fact, they're asking for Sonia Gandhi to come forward again.
I suppose I also feel that he's a very good foil to Mr. Narendra Modi. They are opposites in many senses.
Yeah.
So their manner, their style, their approach is very different. And people also say that Mr. Gandhi is very upset with and very angry with the way the RSS is making inroads into different parts of the country. And perhaps that anger will translate into some kind of what we're hearing, a common minimum program from the non-India's party side. If they have a common minimum program which says more than what the BJP says already, then
I really have my doubts that they can come up with any common minimum program.
Hmm.
I really doubt it.
The other one, what I wanted to ask is corruption an issue? Because, see, I mean, on a number of areas, Prime Minister Modi was trying for both demonetization and, you know, when he spoke about corruption in a number of areas, that this is a government which is coming with a very clean image. It is going against black money, it is going against traders and others, you know, who had made corruption an institution, you know, in this country, eating into various other sectors. In Karnataka, we saw the BJP's closeness with some controversial, you know, business people, which is known in the state and also beyond. They were seen visibly back, you know, but it did not, apparently doesn't seem like having any impact. So is corruption an issue?
No, not apparently it wasn't really an issue in Karnataka. And I think, and surprisingly, Mr. Modi didn't even make that into such a big issue when he was campaigning. I mean, there were some mentions here and there. It was not like he did not go all out about. He did not even talk much about demonetization GST because it's a sensitive issue in any case because it can go either ways. So, and in the case of, I mean, Reddy brothers who had some cases against them, but that is the thing. I mean, the issue was raised, but not by also by Congress, but they had their defense ready. That the one person who still has a pending charge sheet, that he was not given a ticket, and the two brothers who were cleared by the courts, even they were given tickets.
Okay.
So, but it did not really become an issue in Karnataka.
It didn't because it was an issue for the opposition to raise. I mean, for the Congress to raise.
And even they were not in a position to raise.
Yeah, perhaps. But the BJP gave them some opportunity to do so, which they seem to have squandered. But corruption, I think, is a very big issue. It's the only pan-national issue, which people emotively respond to. And when the BJP picks it up and Mr. Modi raises it, then it seems to get a lot of traction, attention from voters.
So that's what I think they probably thought that because he did not raise the issue too much here.
Yeah.
But
So-
Pragya, will it make the regional parties a little nervous now? The way BJP is going, it's becoming almost unstoppable. Now, what guarantee is that tomorrow those regional parties which felt so confident in their own state, will they have the same view about the BJP and its inability to make that kind of a dent in their states?
BJP has already made a dent in so many states,
True.
one way
A
or
bigger-
another.
bigger impact
Yes,
I'm talking
for
about.
them, what they would like to see right now is the BJP's slow attrition, which is accompanying its rise in other parts of the country. So as they're going southward, they're losing a few seats here, a few seats there. So that is giving them some hope. I don't know how hopeful they should be logically, because, for instance, Phulpur is constantly cited as an instance of BJP losing
Gorakhpur and Phulpur.
some popularity. That might be so, but the number of people who voted in these elections was very, very low.
And by polls, in any case, the
10
voter
to
turnout
the
is
worse. 10
to the
and
worse.
also the turnout is generally low because people have already voted once and they don't really want to come out and vote once again.
Right, right. So it's not something that we should be overconfident about, no. And then the question will arise that how good an ally is the BJP and how good an ally is the Congress to have, whom to partner with based on power sharing, based on other benefits. So it will not be easy for the regional parties either. They would tend to get subsumed under this big umbrella. Would they be willing? It depends. But you were asking about the aggression with which West Bengal were.
Absolutely. With that, and this has been, not in some corner where people didn't see. I think, large number of people were glued to the television watching, what's been happening at the Panchayat elections in Bengal. So now, a lot of political parties, non-BJP I'm talking about, which, at least two of them, Congress and the groups, and they who also suffered from this, how are they going to talk about a leader like Mamata as, let's go and have a major alliance?
The sheer aggression of that Panchayat poll indicates that the fight is almost to the finish, right? And then you have Mamata versus all others, including the BJP and the Congress and the left, not aligning with each other formally, but there have been reports that they are trying to make it easy to win for everyone except TMC. So these formations, which we don't expect right now, will probably keep coming up. I think in Karnataka also the JDS and the Congress are aligning. Yesterday, Dakshinamurthy was telling us. In the local party.
Yeah, Panchayat.
Yeah, so all kinds of unusual alliances perhaps people have to be prepared for. But the biggest preparation will have to be for the idea that if you want a non-NDA government, then the voters will have to prepare for perhaps what we call instability of a certain kind. So will people be ready, or will they give an en masse vote, a clear verdict?
Yeah, I think it's too early to discuss all that, but I think people would still go for stability. What are all these results that are showing the last few state elections?
Yeah.
And even the exit polls or pollsters may be saying hung assembly, but the thing is, everybody's been giving a clear verdict. All states are giving a clear verdict.
Yeah, hung assemblies
That
just
seems to
don't
be the
happen.
trend
Yeah.
almost everywhere. People are fed up of this kind of coalition, which has the potential of after a few days there can be instability. I think they want to move away from that kind of a scenario.
So I think 2019 BJP looks, as of now, if we go by whatever is happening now, looks safe because everybody is asking that question. People who have voted BJP and everything, even if they want to look for an alternative, they say, but who else?
Yes, this is a narrative also which is being set by the BJP. So when you have a weakened opposition, then how do they counter it becomes a question. For voters, generally they vote for their local issues.
Yeah.
But from 2014, we see that they're voting for a government in Delhi. So that's just how it is.
Or local issues they are able to, or the local contradictions, which are the BJP and the RSS and the other affiliates. I think they could be using it better than the opposition to the NDA or the non-BJP parties.
And what you started with the aspirations and everything. So BJP has been able to sell the development agenda quite well. That they have, whether they try to polarize in every election and everything, but that core thing they've still been trying to sell that pretty well.
Yeah. They are also known for their efficiency in delivering the goods.
Yeah. So that is why.
Like in UP, we saw that toilets have come up almost everywhere.
No, Ujjwala scheme has been the most successful scheme which people voted BJP for in UP.
Mm-hmm.
So there have been some schemes, and now they are trying that they will go to each and every state and they will try to tell people about the schemes and how successful they have been and everything. So that is why national issues are slightly becoming a bit relevant in state elections also.
So is it a logic then that if we have the same party, ruling both the state and the centre, we have a better chance of development or fulfilling our aspirations?
You should ask Mr. Arvind Kejriwal. who's probably the biggest person who's suffering from this.
I know.
And well, with BJP at centre, I think it makes more sense to have BJP in states. Otherwise, it's very difficult for other parties to kind of have a good working relationship with the centre.
Because this is an argument I heard from a lot of young boys who have now come to Delhi to work from Tripura. They were saying that just left. Manik Sarkar is a very nice gentleman and all that, but we want jobs. And we want to try out the BJP because we think that if you have a party or a government which is both in the state and at the centre, they have better chances.
Yeah.
So this logic might work.
Though it is kind of a little twisted also, because the central government will first withhold these things which are these privileges to the state, and when the state fails to deliver, then the people think, okay, let's opt for the party at the centre.
Yeah, that's why federalism was such a big issue with respect to the Finance Commission grants also. The states might not all be correct in their logic, but they are making the claim that they need more financial freedom and that the centre should have less of a say in what schemes, projects, etc. they pilot at the ground level.
True, we were saying that that corruption is not an issue, but in a way, when people see that a lot of money now are being given to various states, it's not that they are really short of funds, but if that money doesn't come, and local level, you always get to know when your politician is making money.
Yeah.
So whether you can prove it or not, for people it is very clear. I think that anger also builds up gradually.
That
Money which
and
is
the
meant for
magic
me,
of Hindutva. Together combined, it's a very potent mix.
are working.
Yes.
I'm not getting a job, someone else is doing better, belongs to a particular community, all that.
That's right.
Right. But I'm seeing fundamentally there is a crisis which you are taking advantage of, and there is this where you see that those in power, they are getting a lot of money. Their life is not being affected really. All the fight that you have to do day to day, that they remain outside. Rather they are much better from where they had started.
So that's it for today. Thank you.